Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with our Midweek Magic event deck, and it looks like we're playing Explorer, which is awesome, but here's the better twist. It's all access. So once again, we have a chance to actually go all out. We don't have to hold back on a budget this time. Let's take advantage of that this time around. But since we did play last week on an all access event, Esper colors of white, blue, and black, let's actually flip it this week and let's try out a deck using the other colors we haven't tried out, which is red and green. And for today's deck tech, we're basically going to cover a deck that I've always wanted to do, but we just never had a chance to because I honestly was being cheap. I didn't want to spend all the rares and mythics for this. But for this all access event, we're going with a legendary Gruul deck that I basically want to just call it Legendary Party, because again, it's a who's who of all these cards, and basically when you throw them all together in this deck, it is an incredibly powerful deck when played correctly. How do we play it correctly, you may be asking? Well, we're going to take advantage of the one card that pulls it all together, Bard Class. So this 2-mana enchantment allows us to give all of our legendary creatures when they enter the battlefield an additional +1/+1 counter on them. At level 2, legendary spells we cast cost 1 less red, 1 less green to cast, and this effect reduces only amount of colored mana we play. And at level 3 for 5 mana, whenever you cast a legendary spell, you exile the top 2 cards of your library and you may play them this turn. So basically this whole deck is built around Bard Class. So my biggest tip I'm going to give you, of course, is make sure you find a way to get that Bard Class. If you have to mulligan for it aggressively, don't be afraid to do so, because if we don't have that, the whole deck is just a bunch of legendaries that are a little clunky to play. Speaking of that, it is looking a little clunky because, as you kind of notice, the majority of our cards are only 2-ofs in the deck, with the exception of one of our newest additions to the deck, which I'll talk about in just a second. But why is that? As we just mentioned, it is a legendary deck, so we have to follow the legendary rule. But in any case, that's why we're only running 2-ofs of everything in the deck. Hajar Loyal Bodyguard is our only exception to this whole rule, and the reason for that is this legendary human soldier basically allows us to sacrifice it, and legendary creatures we control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. So long story short, the reason why we're having extra copies of this is we're hoping to sack it to pump up our entire legendary creature team to smash our opponent even faster. That's basically why we have 3 of in the deck. Otherwise, we're going to go over basically everything else very quickly. The majority of the deck is just focusing on either giving us a ton of value or either giving our creatures extra pump whenever we do some damage in some way, shape, or form. Kari Rev creates a Ragavan token. Magda basically pumps up doors. We don't have doors, but I will explain how we can get around that in a bit. We have, of course, Gallia the Endless Dance, which we can help us kind of filter through our deck by discarding a card at random and drawing 2 cards. Actually, pause for a second. Before we continue, let's go back to Gallia really quick. Can I look at that artwork one more time? I'm sorry, this is also an excuse for me doing this. Let's actually go over that artwork real quick. Zoom in right here, as you can see. What is going on with that satyr and the banana, with that face and that person he's holding the hair with? What is going on here? I'm sorry, I have to really throw that out there. It's kind of an excuse why I wanted to do this deck, because I really wanted to address this to everyone. I'm sure some people already have their interpretations. If you think you know what's going on, leave a comment below. I want to hear what you guys think is going on. We have Tajnar Demon Fang Null. The Null basically pumps up our team whenever we attack with creatures with a total power of 6 or greater. Also, we can pump it up to double its power and toughness if we need to in a pinch. Burgi, God of Storytelling, 2 cards in 1. The god basically will give us a little extra red mana whenever we cast any spell. And of course, if we have to flip it on the other side to its legendary artifact, the Horn of Bounty basically allows us to discard a card and we can exile the top 2 cards of our library. Same thing, just like the Bard Class, we can play those cards this turn. Helps us filter the deck. Azika, God of the Tree, we only have, again, this is just focusing on the green side, where we just help us create more mana, allows all of our creatures basically to create mana themselves. Other legendary creatures, of course, give us vigilance. Domri just prevents us from getting counterspelled because of its ability whenever we do the +1, and also same thing, gives us more ramp, more pump. Grumgully, same thing, more pump for our non-human creatures because they come in with a +1/+1 counter. Rada, Heart of Keld. Rada basically gives itself first strike when it's our turn, and also same thing, we can look at the top card of our library to play lands off the top of our deck. Klothys is mostly here just to either be our graveyard hate, but also it's indestructible when it comes into play. As long as our devotion's high enough, we can also make it a legendary creature. You also are going to be able to ping with it or create some extra mana on top of even that. Hazoret's Monument, this 3-mana artifact basically just cheapens the rest of our red creature spells for 1 less. And of course, the main reason we're using it is to discard and draw a card to, again, keep filtering through our deck to get to exactly what we need. In the 4-drop slot, we have Hazoret the Fervor itself, saying that By discarding enough cards, once we empty our hand, we can then start using it for its Indestructible and Haste ability as a 5/4 for 3 mana, pretty strong. But at the same time, you can also cast 3 mana and discard a card to get rid of those extra legendaries you don't need and ping our opponent to get closer to victory. Helana and Elena partners. This 4 mana Human Ranger with First Strike and Reach will pump another target creature we control, where X is the amount of power it has, and it gives our creature haste. Samet, Tyrant Smasher just gives the entire team haste. Maskwick Nexus, a little spicy to put into the deck, but I actually like it because this card will now turn every one of our creatures into every creature type, which means that Gallia and Magda now have better advantages in our deck because it'll turn everything else we have into both those dwarves and those satyrs. And then finally on the top end, the Great Henge. You're obviously never going to cast this for the 9 mana. We usually should have enough pump in the entire deck where we get a big discount on this to bring it in. Same thing, creates more mana, gives us more life, and helps our team get pumped while also giving us card advantage. That's basically it for the entire deck. Throw out everything legendary, smash your opponent, overwhelm them with everything. And because we are running, of course, a bunch of legendaries, we could take advantage of the Mox Ambers, which come in as a free roll for us. Don't be afraid to actually throw down a second one after the first one, but make sure you tap that first one before you bring in the next one, just to give you a little extra free mana if you need to on critical turns. As far as your land base, 4 mountains, 3 forests, a Boseiju, a Sokazin, your pathway lands are there, of course, your pain lands are there, your slow lands, your shock lands. Again, this is an all-access event, so take advantage of the fact that you have all of this. But otherwise, that's basically it for the deck for you guys. Since you guys all did ask for it, we're actually going to change it up this time. When we do get to our gameplay in just a second, I'm actually going to do a full commentary for the matches we have. So this way you can see how the deck is played. I will explain what I can when it's critical, and I otherwise hope that you enjoy the video footage of the gameplay. Oh, and real quick before we get started, if you do like any of the content that I do, please make sure to give a like on this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the deck techs, booster pack openings, gameplay, and so much more. I really do appreciate your support, and it really does help me motivate to keep this channel growing. So without further ado, let's go ahead now again get into that gameplay and show you how the deck is meant to be played. Okay, everybody, so you asked for it, and we have it right here and now. We have our Bard party deck, rule, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, we got 2 Bard classes, which is really awesome. We have Magda, Burgi, and Domri. All right. Now, if we could just get some of our legendary creatures, I think this actually should work out perfectly fine. Okay. And all right, Hajar. Perfect. So we got exactly what we need here. All right. Force down. Put down the Bard class. We're going to have to take a couple turns off. Opponent is playing some tap lands, so that buys us a little time. Duress. Well, that throws away one of our Bard classes, but it's okay. We have 2, so... Or they could take the Domri, but I think our opponent probably would want to take a Bard class. Yeah, I figured. Okay, that's cool. We land. Bard class down. Nice. Okay, so we're in exactly where we want to be. We then trigger up to level 2, and that means a lot of our stuff is going to be then dirt cheap coming up. What? Mills us? Okay. I guess they're Dimir Mill? A budget Dimir deck? Alright, whatever. I mean, this is Midweek Magic. I'm kind of surprised they didn't just go with the Thoughtseize. Oh, okay. What? Unfortunately, we lost our Hajar, which is kind of annoying, but that's fine. Level 2. That means now Magda comes down for 1, Domri comes down for 1. So, put down Domri first. This way, you go up, add on red. Do now. Magda comes down. Can't be countered and comes down with a counter on top of it. So we're in a pretty good spot right now. We got everything we need. This is really nice. There's Tutelage. They draw. We mill 2 cards. Mill. Alright. Nothing critical. That's fine. On it with the Pathway land. They bring down the Secret Keeper to block us for a little bit. So they buy themselves a little bit of time. That's perfectly fine. So we have a couple options here, actually. So let's see. Put down the Veil. We can take up Domri. That doesn't really do much for us, but then that means we can then go with level 3 of Bard class, or you can take down, since this is not really a threat, and get that out of the way so we can just focus on just doing damage to our opponent. I think we're going to take down Domri. Get that Secret Keeper out of the way. Here's why. So getting that out of the way, we then swing, creates a treasure token, which is going to be helping us. Level 3, pay everything. And now this helps us set up what we need whenever we cast spells. So this means that now, even though the milling continues, our opponent, that's going to mill us a lot. Not a big deal. 4. Aw, we could have really used both of our clothes in this match. That actually would have helped us out a lot. Sokazin actually also is helpful here because it actually does get a cost reduction. Okay, we got both of our Burgies. That's actually kind of good. So we'll take up now with Domri for red. Burgie. This also now triggers off Bard Class. Exile 2 cards. Okay, Halana. Great. Let's Halana. Now we're going off here. And there we go. Our opponent knew what was going to happen. They were going to get overwhelmed there. That's how you do it, everybody. That's basically the power of the deck. All right, midweek magic time, everybody. And we've got with us our Mox Amber. We got plenty of lands. Hajar, of course, Kari Rev, and Grumgully. Still don't have that Bard class, though. But let's just keep this and let's see what we can do. See if we can make this work. Okay, so first off, we will play Sokazin. We're going to hold off on the Mox Amber. I don't want to give our opponent too much info on what we're trying to do. Swamp. Evolve Sleeper. Okay. All right, Stomping Ground. We're going to shock ourselves. Bring in Kari Rev. And now we'll bring in the Mox Amber. Okay. So it looks like our opponent is going to try to start pumping up some of their creatures here. I'm guessing it might be a mono black aggro deck. Well, probably. All right. So let's see. How do we do this? We're going to bring down Pathway on green. Tap this to make red. We will then bring down another Mox Amber. It resolves. Keep the new one. Tap again for red. Grumgully. Bring in Hajar. So this gives us a little bit of protection to work with here, which is nice. All right, they're looking at maybe blowing something up. They are. Okay, so they're pumping it instead. Okay, that's fine. We're not going to be able to swing with Kari Rev, and it has Menace, so we just get through damage anyway, which is pretty sweet. It's kind of cute also, even though Grumgully puts a token on it. Sure, it dies, but it does get in a little extra damage on top of it. So, pretty awesome where we're at right now. Okay, Ragavan goes bye-bye. All right, opponent. All right, so we don't have the Bard class again, but we can protect ourselves, and we can do some decent damage here. I'm guessing they're going to tick up.
This is my home, and I don't appreciate it.
Oh, okay, they're making a sacrifice. Well, let's see. What do we sacrifice?
Haven't you ever heard of mistakes?
Ironically, we sacrificed it, but not for the reason we wanted to, which is fine. All right. Alana, Elena. All right. Go to combat. Put some counters on stuff. We will put it on Kari Rev. And yeah, let's see. Swing. Swing. Make the monkey attack Liliana. Do you block with your Evolved Sleeper? We're still in a good spot. Alana and Elena are going to help us really get big here pretty quick if our opponent has no options. We're going to keep the land. The reason why we're not playing the land, in case if you're curious, is they might have some discards. So we're going to try to kind of bluff them into maybe using if they have a Thoughtseize. Children. Ooh, that's not good, but it's fine. We'll make it work. Okay. It's okay, everybody. We're still going to try to find a way to get through this. All right, so everything has haste now. We can tick down with Samet. I think we'll put on Elena. Scry. Go to combat. Pump up Kari Rev again. All right, now we're in a good spot. You have to block here. Actually, I realized I should have swung with Grumgully too. All right, well, Evolved Sleeper dies now. They're down to 3. I realized that was lethal. Yeah, I punted there, everybody. Please don't yell at me in the comments for punting. I realized I could have won right there. I play it too safe sometimes. Okay. Are we going to tick down again?
Those who get in my way
Liliana.
to regret it.
All right. Grumgully goes bye-bye.
One of your friends has to leave.
Do they have removal? Nope. Keepa. They swing. They swing. They lose. So I think we're good here. I think we're good, everybody. So we just pump up the Kari Rev. Sure, Gallia's on top. Doesn't matter. We go swinging. We still win regardless. Because it can't do anything else. I'll just go after Liliana just because I'm being a jerk. But there you go, everybody. Evil, I know. Nice. All right. Let's move on to the next match. Let's keep this going. All right, everybody. So here we go. We're going to continue on with our midweek magic, and we've got with us. So we don't have the Bard class. We do have Magda. Gallia's not bad. A Mox Amper helps us speed this up a bit. Beseiju to get rid of any of their artifacts or enchantments, and Domri. Do we keep it? I'm a little bit of a risk taker, so you know what? It's midweek magic. We're going to have fun with it. So let's keep this and see if we can make this work. Okay, so this actually helps us out quite a bit here. Mox Amper for free. Okay, and that means when we bring down our Pain Land, that means we can bring down Magda. We can bring down Gallia. Basically, we have options here. Ooh, Grumgully. That's good. Okay, so I think we'll bring down Magda. And here's why. Because remember, when it taps, it creates a treasure token. So that means we can ramp a little bit faster versus our opponent. They're Simic colors, so unless they have a bounce spell, okay, they're ramping. So not too bad. This actually works in our favor, because unless if they have something that can bounce us away or they bring something in with Flash, we most likely should be able to then take the early lead here. So let's see, with that, let's bring in Domri. That's probably the safest option for a couple reasons. The reason why we bring in Domri is, assuming they may have a counter spell, we at least now can bring in our Planeswalker, which is less likely to deal with stuff. Take it up. Not for any real reason. Create that treasure token. Actually, I realize now, I kind of punted there. Sorry, everybody. I punted. What I should have done was we should have swung, then take up Domri. Don't do what I do, and then get the treasure token. Then we could have put down Gallia. That's okay. Hopefully that shouldn't cost us anything. Sorry, I can't. I did that. This is why I'm not Mythic anymore, everybody. I make so many mistakes like this. But hopefully that shouldn't. There's Omnath. Okay. Omnath kind of hurts. That's kind of unfortunate. Well, all right. Well, we lose Magda, which is sad, but that's not the end of the world for us. Let's bring down Clovis. Bring down Gallia. Let's swing and see what they do. Do they block? They do not. Okay. So next turn, if Gallia survives, everyone, Grumgully comes down. That turns on Clovis. We can then take down with Domri. Assuming our opponent... Actually, hold on. They're going to probably attack there. Now that actually doesn't work. That's fine. That's fine. We'll make it work, everybody. Yeah, putting down that... Missing that drop with Gallia 2 turns ago actually kind of now puts us in a bad spot. If they take out Domri here, which they will, that turns off Clovis. But we can still eat stuff and then hopefully get to where we want. Alright, and Omnath is just going off at this point. That's annoying, but that's okay. We're gonna make it, everybody. I believe in us. Fluorohedron. Oh boy. Elementals, everybody. Alright, and of course Domri dies. A little sad. That means we're a little further away. Ooh, we got Bard class now. Okay. I actually think, in this instance, we're gonna eat the Fable Passage. So this way, we have green. Bring in Bard class. Level 2. Grumgully now comes in for cheaper price. Turns on Clothis. We're going to end our turn there. Okay. I'm going to hold on to the Beseiju in case if we need to get rid of something. Probably won't need it, but just in case. Alright, 4-color Omnath. Big Omnath. Risen Reef goes off because it's a powerful uncommon. Seriously, how did this uncommon get through testing? This common is so ridiculously good. Omnath pumps. Big Omnath pump, little Omnath. Risen Reef number 2. And they're off. Looks like they're going to outdo us in terms of building up ramp, building up creatures. Unless if we can get to level 3, which is possible, we might have a shot. The only thing keeping us alive right now is going to be Clothis. Clothis at least is indestructible, so it'd be very hard for our opponent to push through damage, which does give us a small edge. We can also, again, eat part of their board, or eat part of our board, to then keep us alive and stall out, hopefully long enough for us to get a couple more powerful options into our realm. Fluorohedron number 2. More triggers. It's going to be a while, everyone. While you're waiting, again, for those of you who are still enjoying the content, if you haven't already done so, please make sure to give a like to this video and subscribe to the channel, so that way you can enjoy all the deck hacks, boost back openings, and so much more. Alright, Risen Reef still going off. Alright, landfall triggers. Pumping up Omnath. Are we done finally? I mean, I get that there's a lot of triggers for an elemental deck, but sometimes it's just so slow. Either swing or don't swing. There we go, finally. Okay. So we will eat their growth spiral. Bang them. Gain some life. Red. Resurrect. For 7, which is not bad. I think we'll just play the Boseiju. I don't think there's not much of a reason to hold on to it anymore. We're not going to attack. We're going to basically have to stall out everybody. But the good news is with Hazoret, also indestructible, and as a 7/6, we can now chump block using Klothys and Hazoret, and for the most part, our opponent really can't get through this. Zendikar Royal. Okay, our opponent's going to go off pretty huge here, but if they're not careful, they're going to mill themselves out. They're already halfway through their deck. The biggest advantage we have right now is Industry. Oh, does that mean they're going to destroy our Bard class? Oh, I'm sad. Well, that's annoying, but that's okay, everybody, because the good news is we still have our essentials, and even with Bard class gone, we still have just enough devotion so Klothys stays alive. So we can still kind of stop our opponent from doing anything else. Opponent still going off. More Risen Reef triggers. Okay, opponent's out of cards. And they just milled themselves out. Opponent, why did you do that? You just gave me a free win. But you know what? I'll take it. Hey, that's happened sometimes. You know what? That's magic for you. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Woo! And there you have it, everybody. Hope you got to enjoy that as much as I did when I got the chance to play it. But if I wanted to do one final tweak to the deck, I probably would consider bringing in a copy of Ronos the Indomitable. Probably bring in this and maybe swap out something else that we don't need. And then, honestly, the reason why I wanted to just bring in this as a consideration is if you want to play this legendary deck, consider Ronos, because not only is it indestructible, but also it has Death Touch. Although, of course, it can't attack or block unless you have another creature with power 4 or greater. You kind of can see it's not that hard for us to get a creature that's power 4 or greater onto the battlefield. So this is definitely an inclusion I would recommend, especially since we went through that whole Elementals deck. It made me feel a little bit more safe if I had this in there. But that's my only other thing I would tweak if you want to consider this. But otherwise, even as is, it's a fantastic deck. And if you're willing to invest the mythics and rares into this deck, if you want to try it and explore, go ahead and give it a try. And either way, I'm sure you will not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone. And just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.